see Dave Janusek in the studio with us once more in Blairsville Borough as we talk about things that are happening around the town. We had Abditorian here talking polar plunge with us earlier in the week. The polar plunge is coming up on Sunday, and hoping lots of folks turn out for that. Blairsville's a kick in place right now, isn't it, Dave?
It is. I thought I saw Coach Dettori practicing.
Oh, yeah?
Down at the river, doing some temp checks.
Or at least breaking the ice.
Breaking up. That is right. A lot's going on in Blairsville. I want to talk a little bit about what's going on now and then what's going on in the coming year. We got some larger projects. You mentioned the polar plunge. Still time if you're so inclined to jump into the frosty Conemaugh on Sunday at noon. You can still pick up registration forms at the rec center or the Borough building, or call 724-459-6790. It's one of those things that, we have the community center, but it's one of those things, Brock and his staff does that is outside of recreation and parks. They had a very successful gala not too long ago. This polar plunge all goes for, charities in the area. This one in particular, a young second grader that's suffering from leukemia. So it's good to see, the town jumping out. Good to see us, kind of helping our own there. Also wanted to mention that starting in January at the rec center, pickleball club.
Oh, yeah.
We'll be starting, yeah.
In January,
pickleball club.
Want to press the reset button on that?
Yeah, let's press the reset button on the pickleball club. It seems to be a sport that's gaining in popularity.
It really is.
Blairsville has not been unnoticed by the trend. So it's, we've got some people interested. So again, call Brock, sign up. They're going to do it in different slots. So we bought some equipment. We've got, court ready. So, pickleball is coming in January to Blairsville. One of the other things I do want to talk a little bit about today, two things I definitely want to talk about. In 1825, Blairsville was incorporated into a borough. So do the math. In 2 years, we will become 200 years old. We are starting a planning committee now. Want to really do something as a year-long celebration. That planning committee will meet on January 12th at 6 p.m. at the Blairsville Community Center. We're also going to talk a little bit about, there's been a group of citizens that have gotten together that want to explore the idea of bringing some new Christmas lights to the downtown. So we're going to, kind of do a dual meeting, talk a little bit about getting some Christmas lights, see what the possibilities there are, and then talk about Bicentennial Planning Committee. I know it sounds like 2025 is 2 years away. It's a lot sooner than you think, and we really want to do something that's going to be, something for the ages. So you can, if you're interested, it's January 12th, 6 p.m. You can also give me a phone call at 412-638-2335 or davidjanusek@gmail.com. Also, one of the other things I wanted to talk about is our fire department. I know we talked a little bit about Abditori earlier. The Blairsville Fire Department has started I don't want to call it an auxiliary group, but what they're calling it is they're calling it support members. And so if you're like me and running into a building that's full of fire isn't your kind of thing, but you'd like to help out the fire department, whether it be, helping with apparatus, helping with fundraising, that kind of thing, you can call 724-459-8111 or stop in any Monday night between, I believe, after 6:30 and 9 o'clock in the evening. I was going to say I knew it was after 6:30. Talk to Adam there. Adam will get you hooked up. It's on 51 West Campbell, but it's a great way to support this fire department. They do a lot of fish fries. They got a roast beef dinner coming up. So those guys and women need some support beyond they're getting called out at 3 a.m. in the morning or getting called out when it's 0 degrees. Maybe that's not your thing. Definitely want to help out the fire department in that way. So that's something that's coming up in the new year. One of the other things we're real excited about coming up in the new year, and we'll talk about this maybe, as we get a little bit closer to spring. It's not too early to think. The Murphy lot. We're getting very close to groundbreaking.
Oh, yeah?
Absolutely. We have, I want to thank, what a committee, Becky and Sarah Marshall and Sandy Coyle. They put together, quite a fundraising packet that's been around town. Sold a ton of bricks. I think it's almost a little bit below a ton of commemorative bricks. Also, the big exciting thing is the committee has secured funding for the fountain.
Oh,
So that was the big, the big
Yeah.
piece in the middle there. So we've got something to groundbreak about.
wow.
So come this spring, we're going to start turning earth, as they say. And again, it's a great place. It's going to help out the downtown place for people to hang out. A couple of the other things that are going on in downtown. We're meeting with a consulting group. I know I talked about this some of the prior shows about an RFP for the Diamond for the commercial mixed properties on the riverfront. It's called the Riverfront Marketplace. We've got originally about 8 lots that we're looking to develop that are commercial/residential, and then we've got about another 15 or so that are residential. So we're going to be meeting in January, or hopefully as spring comes, to start at least getting a little bit more interest in that area.
Yeah,
also,
for those who don't know, RFP means request for proposal.
request for proposal.
So
Correct.
contractors would understand that. but,
Correct. So if you're a contractor out there and you're looking to, expand into the new year, Blairsville's would be happy to entertain that. We will have a formal proposal that we can send out. That's going through the BCDA.
Okay.
It's running that sort of a thing. Also, 2 other quick things I did want to talk about. Comedy night's coming up. Always great.
Are you performing?
I will not be this year. A little too busy. You never know, though. You may have to,
Press them into action.
as they say in the industry, in a pinch. I might have to get the tap on the shoulder. But,
Improv with Dave.
Improv. It's February 25th, and it's always a great time. It's Chestnut Ridge. More information on that coming out. One last thing I did want to kind of talk a little bit about. It won't be too long before Black History Month will be upon us again. Blairsville Underground Railroad, we've talked about this before, is finishing up their new exhibit where it's rather impressive, where 93 conductors, Underground Railroad conductors, have been identified in Indiana County, and there's an interactive display that's in the midst of being installed. We're looking for a soft opening in January, and then a more of a formal opening in February for Black History Month. And more information on that, 724-343-1014. So there's, like I said, a lot of stuff going on. Oh, the other thing I did want to mention, this is going way out into the summer though, but you know what?
There's always another thing to mention.
Another thing to mention, we have completely booked our music series.
Oh, really? You've got all the slots are filled up.
All the slots are filled up. So all our slots are filled up for the Blairsville Summer Music Festival series. That starts in June. 5:30 down at the amphitheater. Goes from June till the end of August.
All right.
So we've got about 12 acts ready to go. So, I mean, that's a ways out when you're looking at, the 60-degree weather today or tomorrow. We're happy to have you, and that's free to the public.
Yeah.
So it's other things we can talk about as we get further into the new year, but so much going on. A lot goes on when, the world is sleeping through the winter. People in Blairsville,
Blairsville never sleeps.
we never sleep.
There's the new city that never sleeps is Blairsville, Indiana.
We're working on
PA. So it's a lot of things happening. By the way, never got a chance to say because he was so excited to come on the air, but our conversation with Dave is brought to you by Marcus and Mack, voted best personal injury law firm in the Best of Indiana County contest. Marcus and Mack, a law firm representing injured people. Want to circle back to a couple of the things that you mentioned.
Absolutely.
Underground Railroad. That is a real treasure for Indiana County that maybe not as many people know about as should, but it's really a piece of living history, isn't it?
It is. And one of the interesting things I always say about the Blairsville Underground Railroad is one of those things where it's like you live next to your neighbor your entire life. And you don't realize what an asset that neighbor is. And then somebody from outside the area says, oh, my God, you live next to Todd Marino. What a great guy. Oh, yeah, I know Todd. Because I think we get used to those sort of a thing. And my point is that with the Blairsville Underground Railroad, they'll see tours coming in from all over the country. I know they're setting up for a tour this spring where there's a group of young individuals that literally follow the trail of the Underground Railroad to Canada as their senior project. They start in Cincinnati. They bring 2 busloads, 2 coachloads of individuals, and they start from Cincinnati and move forward northward to Canada. This will be the second year that we'll host them. They come in, they spend money in Blairsville, they hang out in Blairsville, and they learn about the history. But you're right, that Underground Railroad, it isn't just Blairsville. It was a national movement.
Sure.
And it is one of those things where you can live right next to it, and you're not sure, hey, what is that? Down there on Southeast Lane, but further away, it seems that we seem to bring a lot of, and it's good to see a lot of younger people It's not just, people our age, but school age kids.
Yeah.
We'll get a lot of calls, where there'll be a parent that wants to bring their child in to do a report on it or so on and so forth. The display is 96 so far have been identified of people right here in Indiana County that were conductors. So it's a gem. It's a gem in the gateway to Indiana County.
Now, the second thing I wanted to circle back on here this morning, and it's starting to slip through my mind, so I'm probably not going to hit it like I wanted to. But the diamond itself and that whole area of town.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to talk about was Murphy's Lawn. But the diamond area, people might not be aware of the history of that area either. That lower end of town, as people refer to it, which used to be where the Vail Tech buildings were.
Correct. It's so interesting that you bring that up, Todd. As part of the Indiana County Decathlon in March, we will be doing a walk in the Diamond area to look at what a town. There's remnants of a town near there that was called Riverview. And 1936. Give you a quick history. I know we're trying to get up towards the end of the time here. Quick history: 1936, St. Patrick's Day, flood. Soon afterward, they build the Conemaugh Dam. They build the feds build the Conemaugh Dam to save Pittsburgh. Well, every March, they do a controlled flood.
Yeah.
And they flood from New Alexandria all the way up through Blairsville. The bridge goes under. We'll be doing a history walk of Riverview, and it'll talk a lot about, you're right, that area, which is all right now owned by, a good chunk of it is owned by the Corps of Engineers, and they do a controlled flood. It's always, I refer back to it, if you've ever seen the movie, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, in the end, whenever, the water comes in. That happens in Blairsville. So,
George
in March.
Clooney's hair gel is going on.
Dapper man.
Yeah.
Dapper Dan. But, so that area was at once the heart of Blairsville, the industry, the ironworks, the glass works, later on, Vail Tech. Whenever, the controlled floods come through, a lot of that has been removed out, but we'll bring back some history come March.
Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit later into the year, with the decathlon. So,
And the other thing I wanted to mention was the
Murphy lot.
Murphy lot, because there's some history there too.
Yeah, the Murphy lot, it's funny because everybody calls it the Murphy lot, but they call it the Murphy lot because there used to be a G.C. Murphy store
That's
there.
how it's referred to. Yeah.
Yeah, but prior to the G.C. Murphy store was the First National Bank. It was if I get this right, the second location of the First National Bank of Blairsville. So it's a center of town. It was the center of commerce. Unfortunately, after it was a bank, it was then, not that it was unfortunate it was Murphy building, because the Murphy building was really, an interesting, we could talk about the history of, G.C. Murphy in Indiana County. I'm not going to get into that, but unfortunately, through weather and neglect, the building, had seen better days. Some of the interesting parts is in that, in the redesign into a park, which interestingly enough has just been signed by the borough to be a park in perpetuity. Perpetuity, right? Pickleball perpetuity. So that it will never revert back to any other use.
Yeah.
That being said,
It'll always be a park.
It'll always be a park. And that's what people wanted when we did a survey. Some parts of the Murphy building will be used in benches. In fact, if you go down, and we'll go back to the Diamond area, and if you drive down near the entrance to the Riverfront Trail in that Diamond area, you'll see a large slab that was made into a bench. That was one of the entrance pieces to the Murphy, to the G.C. Murphy. Prior to that, the bank. The other thing about the fountain is the fountain pillar is part of, it was another, it's not the First or Second National Bank, but there was another bank in Blairsville, that's where the Sheets is now standing. That pillar will be redesigned into a fountain. So there's a lot of history. So the idea is to make it, to keep continuing to go back to where where did we come from?
Remaking Blairsville, and in a certain case, recycling some
Correct.
of Blairsville's
Upscaling,
past.
upscaling, I think they call it, something like that.
David,
Reuse.
thank you so much.
Thank you, Todd. Thanks for having us.
Always a kick when you come in to visit with us.
Hey, you know what? I look forward to this.
It is 8:25 in the morning. It's Indiana in the Morning, always presented by First Commonwealth Bank. It's the voice of Indiana County, WCCS 101.1 FM and AM 1160.